you couldn't tell, I'm not very good. When I was in third grade, my mom started me on piano lessons, and every 6 months or so, my teacher would have us do a recital so that we could play the pieces that we had been practicing. And at first I really liked those recitals a lot. I thought they were kind of fun. But as time went on and I got older, I didn't really like putting in the time that I needed to on the keyboard. So she couldn't give me harder pieces because I wasn't really progressing. And so by the time I was in 8th grade, those students who were younger than me were playing harder pieces than I was playing. And it was a real hit to my ego. So I decided I was gonna quit. And I look back on that now and I think to myself, what a shame that I wasn't willing to continue. And really underneath all of that was this idea that I wanted to be the best at it. And if I wasn't gonna be the best, there wasn't any point in going on. And I started thinking to myself, where did I ever get this idea that I needed to be the best at something? I look back and I realized there were two competing messages kind of being sent to me as a child. One was, I could do anything I wanted. If I just worked hard enough and put in the time and I just studied, I could be anything I wanted to be. On the other hand, I realized I was being fed a separate message. One that was kind of in the ether of the world, which is that we're inundated with these images of people who are really successful. I mean, you see it in television and you see it in advertising, you see it on the magazine covers in the grocery store, and you see these people who are super successful, people who are the smartest, the wealthiest, the most beautiful, the most athletic. These are people who are really accomplished. And we kind of worship that in our culture. We kind of lift those people up. So on the one hand, we're told that we can do anything. And then on the other hand, we're also told that if we're not going to be the best at it, that we probably shouldn't do it. And there's a real problem with that, because it's the rare person who's going to be the best. Like, there's not many people who are smart enough to be a surgeon or an astronaut or talented enough to be a professional athlete. Most of us, like me, like you, we're just ordinary, average folks. And we're made to feel like that's not okay. Like, if we don't accomplish something big with our lives, if we're not the best at something, that our lives don't really matter. And I just don't think that's true. I think that being successful in life, what makes your life matter is not what you've accomplished. It's not your success. It's your relationships. The people who you love and the people who love you. That's my lunch. Will you join me in the kitchen for a moment? I eat this quinoa edamame salad literally 5 days a week. I love it. My wife introduced me to the recipe. It's super healthy and it makes me feel really good when I eat it. In fact, it actually makes me feel like when I was a child. I don't know if you ever have those memories that come back to you every so often. A memory of being a child where you felt really content. The best way I can describe it to you is when I was watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Every day I would have this ritual of sitting down and watching his show. And I know I was among millions of children that did that. And I was thinking back on that recently. I hadn't watched a show since I was 5 or 6 years old. And I saw this interesting quote from a producer who said, if you take everything that makes good television and do the exact opposite, you get Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Low production value, simple set designs, an unlikely star. Yet it worked in this kind of magical sort of way. If you ever watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, or you watch your children watching it, you probably know that it's designed for children. Mr. Rogers is literally talking directly to kids about things that are really important to them. It was things that either adults didn't want to talk to their children about or didn't know how to talk to their children about. He would talk about conflict and sadness and anger. He would talk about war and death and violence. I mean, really heavy stuff. But if you ever watched his show, and I remember this as a child, I never felt anxious when he talked about these subjects, because the way that he talked about it, underneath kind of everything he did, was this philosophy of love and acceptance. Fred Rogers once said, "Love is at the heart of everything. All learning, all parenting, all relationships. Love or lack of it." And he used to end every show the same way. He would say, "You've made this day a special day by just your being you. There's no person in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are." You know, as an adult, I can't think of the last time I heard that. I don't know if I've ever heard that in my life, that somebody told me that I was good just the way I was. Every day, I wake up and I look in the mirror and I think to myself, not good enough. I'm not smart enough, I'm not patient enough, I'm not working hard enough. Whatever it is, I'm not enough. And you know, I never felt that way as a kid. And I think the reason why I didn't feel that way was because of Mr. Rogers. Like, he made me feel like everything was gonna be okay. And so I got to thinking, wouldn't it be nice if there was someone to remind us as adults that we are enough, that we don't need to be anything more than ourselves? You know, a time each week where we could come together and we could be reminded that we are loved and worthy just as we are. A Mr. Rogers, but for adults. I think we need that now more than ever. I'm gonna leave my lunch behind for a second. Trust me, I will eat it. But would you come downstairs with me, because I wanna show you something that I think will illustrate exactly what it is that I'm trying to achieve. Will you join me downstairs? Do you know what the biggest difference is between being a child and being an adult, in my opinion? It's that adults lose their sense of wonder about the world. I remember being a child and thinking that anything was possible. I could go anywhere I wanted to in my imagination. The world was basically limitless. But then reality sets in. And reality can be quite harsh. Reality teaches us that not everybody has our best interests at heart. And when we get hurt, I think we instinctively become a little more selective about who we trust. And you know, I think that's okay, because we shouldn't trust everyone. But I've met some adults who have become so hurt by the world and so selective because of those breaches of trust that they've lost all sense of possibility and wonder about the world. I'm gonna close the shades because I want to show you something. There's a lot of people whose worlds have become very small. I think there's a lot of people out there who feel isolated and lonely and disconnected and invisible. Sometimes I feel that way. And when I look back on my life, the one time when I didn't feel like I was alone was when I was watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers made me feel seen at a time in my life when I was young, when nobody really saw me. There was no separation between us. That glass screen really wasn't there. And for the 30 minutes that I listened to his show every single day, I felt like anything was possible. Well, that's what I want to do for you. I want to expand your world. I want to restore your sense of possibility and wonder. I call this series Kokoro, which is the Japanese word that describes the connection between the heart, mind, and soul. It encompasses our feelings and aspirations, but the best translation is the heart of the matter. During the first season of Kokoro, our aim is to get to the heart of the matter. Each week during the fall, we're going to be releasing an episode. And the theme of that episode will revolve around our struggle to find self-acceptance in adulthood. Sometimes I'll tell stories, sometimes I'll read letters or interview people. Sometimes I'll simply talk about art or literature or poetry. Sometimes we'll delve into psychology, relationships, healing. But each episode is really designed to push you towards self-acceptance. And I want you to experience a renaissance in your life, a rebirth. And my hope is that together, we can help you reconnect your body, mind, and spirit. Initially, Kokoro will be releasing pre-recorded episodes. But our hope is to eventually be able to move to live shows on Patreon, where we can interact and support one another. So what I need you to do is, as you see these episodes, I need you to share them with the people around you. If there's a topic or a theme that really resonates with you, I want you to tell the people around you, because we got to build our community so that when we go live, we have a good group of people who we can talk to. I really feel like Kokoro has a lot of potential to help people feel loved and seen. And very much like my piano playing, I want you to know I'm not doing this because I think I'm the best at it. Not even close. I'm doing it because I think it needs to be done. So no matter who you are, no matter where you've been, no matter how you feel, please know that you are loved, you are seen, and you are cared for. If by no one else, by me. I'm Alex Lang, and until next time.